Okay, guys. It's 8:25. We start our class at 8:30 sharply. Okay. We wait for a few more minutes to join the class. Okay. Okay. So the students have come within 8:30 or within 8:30 we start our live section. There is no problem with that. Okay. We just wait for one more minute to go. Sorry. I think this live is sharing in LinkedIn too. Okay, so if you're in LinkedIn, it's good to come with YouTube. Okay, so because I can able to see all your messages and all, and I can able to interact with you. Okay, so if it is in LinkedIn, I can able to do that. Okay. Okay, so is there anyone, the students, is there anyone, because I'm not able to see the two platform at a time. Is there anyone, just give a comment, like give a message like hello, hi, anything like that? You can just give a message. Okay, so I can able to understand that some students are there. Okay. I think that I check the LinkedIn whether the live is going or not. Okay. So if you are in LinkedIn, I suggest the people, students or the TWD members, just come for YouTube. Okay, so it is more interactive than LinkedIn, I think so. Okay. Will I able to understand how I not attended past lectures? Yes, of course. You can, if you have any like I think you have an YouTube name, right? If you have any previous knowledge in JS, is this, or you are fresher to that, fresher to JS? If you are new here, I would recommend go and watch, see the live section now, and go and watch all the 4 classes we have already started streamed our live sections. Okay, so that is available in our YouTube channel TWD, and you can check it. Okay, so you can check it that, and you get a refresh. Okay, so we get a refresh in JS, and this is easy to understand. Okay, so because we don't go with the core concepts and all, we just go move with this, the concept that actually need to kickstart JavaScript. Okay, so the core concept and all we're going to take very soon. Okay, so that is also going to we're going to do, I think. Let's check so whether the students in, so I think you are, I think some of around 10 members are attending this live session in LinkedIn. Okay, so if you are in LinkedIn, I get a struggle for contact with you. Okay, so if you are in YouTube, I can able to see easily. Okay, so participants, if you are in LinkedIn, I highly suggest that please come for YouTube channel. Okay, so if you are in YouTube, I can able to answer your question, and it is more interactive than LinkedIn. Okay, so please come for the YouTube. Okay, so this is a kind request from my side. Okay, so I think around 10 to 11 members are in LinkedIn. This is because why I'm saying this, some people asking questions in YouTube, some people asking questions in LinkedIn, means I'm seeing here message, no problem with that, but the questions I cannot interact with the all the screens within a time. Okay, so if you are can you switch your LinkedIn to YouTube? Okay, it is easy for me. Okay, so the time's up, so we're going to start our class soon. Okay, so I should recommend all your people to come for YouTube instead of LinkedIn. Okay, 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 hope do. Okay, so we start our live section. So what are the topic we have yesterday covered? Means we see about functions, we see about how the conditional works, and we see about all the flow of how the statements, conditional statement works and all. Okay, so right now what we're going to do, and one more thing before getting started into, I want to update you. Right, yesterday I told that we're going to have a 2 days boot camp. I'm sorry for that, because we're going to have an 1 day boot camp. That is, we're going to cover HTML and CSS and JavaScript. This is a boot camp. We're going to cover as much as topic. We're going to if because of the time and how much times we have, we're going to cover all the topics too. Okay, so the React. So usually we do 2 days React and all. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we just going to have an 5 days workshop for React very soon. Okay, so we just going to have a 5 days workshop for React. Okay, so that's going to be taken by our founder Nabidu sir. Okay, so I hope that you are available for because lots of people asked for where is the React live section, when can the React live section arrive. So very soon it's going to become. Okay, so that is an updation from the TWD team. Okay, so tomorrow is going to have a full day, like I think 12 hours of workshop. Okay, so 1 day full hours bootcamp is going to be that, and after that, that is a Sunday is there, and after that Monday we're going to have another 5 section on JavaScript, where we're going to learn a little bit advanced concepts. Okay, so we're going to cover it there. Okay, so 5 days concept. And now what we're going to do, we're going to see about DOM manipulations. So what is actually a DOM manipulations? Okay, I just explain what is a DOM manipulation and all. Okay, so I hope that you all know about the LinkedIn how the basic HTML CSS work. I hope that if you're in YouTube, just comment, like, if you're I know that HTML, if you know HTML CSS, is good for me to take the DOM manipulations. Okay, so if you're in here, you just comment it to me whether you are good. Okay, get yes, yes, yes. Okay, so there are lots of students are there, but this YouTube is not showing me how many of you are watching live. Okay, so there is something happening in the YouTube. Yes, thank you, Yaman Prasad. Thank you. I hope that you will learn more. Okay, so I just explain it. What is DOM? Okay, so the purpose of learning JavaScript is here. Okay, so to manipulate the DOM. So what is mean by DOM? Means document object model. So this is what DOM, the extension form for DOM. Okay, so what this in the previous class itself, I explained what is the purpose of using DOM, right? So what's the purpose of using JavaScript? The purpose of using JavaScript is to make the website giving a life for that website. Okay, so that is what the JavaScript is going to do. It's going to make our website dynamic. Okay, so as you see in our olden days. Okay, so in our olden days, like there is when the website has been arrived, there is only one-way interaction is there. Like we can go to some news website is there, or some like blog website is there. So that is like we can read it and we can come out. That's it. Okay, no other purpose is that. But after that, so now people are talking about web 3, right? So right now we are in web 2. Okay, so web 2, what is that means? It has a two sides of interactions. Okay, what's made two sides of interactions? It allows us to interact with the website. That dynamicity is come from the JavaScript. Okay, let me discuss that. And before getting into the session, I just want to tell you that here here the DOM manipulation concept we're going to take for 1 hour, and we are not going to cover all the DOM manipulation part. Okay, so here what I'm going to explain how the DOM works, how the JS and how the JS works with this DOM. Okay, so that is what I'm going to explain, and I just going to give a flow. Okay, so how to continue with this knowledge, how to kickstart your career towards the JavaScript, and how to continue towards the upcoming sessions, and how to get master towards the JavaScript. I'm going to give that in the end, and also I just going to give the attendance form. I hope you will get the attendance form now itself. Okay, I share with you. Okay, so then you will get to know, you will get the certification, participation certification from Nabidu Biswakshar, and you also tagged, in his LinkedIn post. Okay, so that's a huge view for all the HR and all. Okay, so now get started. Okay, so just get started. I hope, and all some of the people's yesterday I told contact with me in LinkedIn, and just give us valuable feedbacks, and we improve our sites, and also it will improve you to create a free community and work towards the community, and we can able to identify what is the interest, what are the technology you actually want. Okay, instead of putting random videos, we are focusing on the technologies that actually you want. Okay, so some people are messaged me and they created a connections with me, and thanks all of them who made that connections and addiction and all. I just want to thanks all of this. Okay, I'm able to understand. Okay, so this is the past message. Okay, so let me start our section. Okay, so in the last class I ended up the class with this. Okay, so this is not actually I created. Okay, so it is a pre-recorded one. Okay, so pre-recorded one means for the time convenience I already done the code for HTML and CSS. Okay, so there is a code we have done for HTML and CSS, and there is a empty file. You can see main.js. Like how you create an .html, the extension for HTML file is .html. The same like the extension for CSS .css. Okay, the same as like the JS file has .js extension. I hope you will know that. Okay, and also we know how to link that external JavaScript file. So for linking the external JavaScript file, you need to use the script tag at the bottom. Okay, so you can able to do that in the front, but I suggest not to do that, because in some cases the JavaScript code will run before the HTML will run. Okay, so that causes a problem. It's good to go with in the bottom of the page. Okay, so it is very good to go with. Okay, so I just put a script tag, and you want to put an attribute src, and in this src you need to give the file which you want to add. Okay, so that's it for you. Okay, so we're going to code here. Okay, so what we have created actually means we just created a form. Here you can see we just created a form, and this form we have two inputs. I just show you the whole HTML. Here you can see, and this is the header. Okay, so we created the header part, and we have h1 DOM for beginners, and that is you can see here DOM for beginners, right? So this is the header part, and we have add user, and this is also an h1 tag. Okay, so and this is also an h1 tag here, and we have a class, a message class, and you can see that is empty, nothing is there. Okay, we're going to use that very soon. Okay, so that is empty tag. Here you can see nothing is there. Okay, inside this div with a class of message, nothing is there, and we're going to use that div by using we're going to give an example for DOM. Okay, so I'm going to use that, and here I have a div, and this div is this controlling the name and the input box. Okay, so the label and input box is there, and we give an ID name, and that's all. And the same we given for email, and we give an email for the things too. And we have an input button inside the form. Remember that inside the form we have an input with the value of submit. So type also submit. So what is the type submit do? So the type submit is act as a button. So this is actually the type submit. I hope you are a bit familiar with that. Okay. Okay, so and we also have an UL tag that is empty, and we're going to use that to do some DOM process and all. And that's all we have created. And CSS styling, I hope that you will know the CSS styling and all. And if you're not that much great in CSS, we have our separate CSS class too. I suggest you to go and watch. There's a 5-day CSS class where we cover like flex and grid, and even some of the advanced concepts also we have covered recently. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so let's come to the point. Okay, so I'm just going to code that JS file. So I just go, before getting into the code and DOM manipulation and all, I just want to show you like how we work the recent days. I just say console.log and I say like hello world, and I check where I check like right click it and I just click and inspect, and in the console we check it, right? So here I just going to give an object. So that our object name is called window. Okay, so window. So what is this window object is do? What is mean by this? Okay, and here you can see when I click this window and view it in console, and here you can see a list of object is showing, and that is lots and lots of methods is available, right? So this is called as global object. Okay, so where all the JavaScript predefined, pre-built functions, methods, all those things are available inside this. Here you can see some alert, and we can give an alert. Okay, so if I want to use this method, here you can see it is an object. So you can see this is a property, and sorry, this is a method. Okay, so inside an object there is a function that is called as method, and they created a function, and that is how it works. Okay, so this is called as global object, where the entire JavaScript lies here. Okay, so global is nothing but it's all about the screen. Okay, so it's all about this screen. Okay, so it's all about this entire screen. Whatever you are seeing here by using JavaScript, everything is here. And you can see, like for example, you can see the console. This is built inside this Windows object. You can and see that here something else like that, and you can have like something like application, lighthouse, memory, performance. I just go for application, and here you can see local storage, and it is like a mini DB, we can say mini database to store our mini information. Okay, so everything in JavaScript is lies in this Windows object, so that is considered as a global object. Okay, so next what we're going to do, we're going to do some of the basic operations. Okay, so we get started into DOM. Okay, so what is DOM? Actually, what is DOM? And I say that if you go for any other website, they ask for the same thing, like what's your name, what's your email, and some other thing like what's your password, what is your things like that, and anything like that, right? So after you entered such information, okay, so after you entered such information, what happened? What would happen? So you click a submit, or you click a login, or you do something like that, and what it going to happen means it's going to take your information and it stored it in somewhere, like it's maybe a database or whatever. Okay, so and once you enter into the dashboard, what's going to happen once you entered into the dashboard, it gives a greeting message like hello, welcome to our website. Like maybe in Amazon, here it shows like hi like hi Prashant, hi Shurav, like this. It shows shows your name. Okay, so the meaning is it fetches the information from the user and it displaying it. So could you explain locals and the session storage? Not this class. Maybe you can get it in the advanced section, I think so. Okay, so local storage and session storage, it's pretty easy, very easy. Like how you handle some it's like they are called as web APIs. Okay, so how if you came to know what is API and all, and this is very simple and you can handle. So the thing is, I just give an description for that. So local storage and session storage is nothing but local storage is like and we can store some unsensitive informations. Like for example, if you like a dark theme, once you come for the website, and that is called as cookies and all, and we use cookies and all. Local storage is like you can store some informations. Okay, so you can store some information where it's available in your browser itself, and you can see that. Okay, so by using local storage API, and session storage is used for storing some sensitive information, and same like cookies is used for storing some unsensitive informations. Okay, so session storage, it's used for like whenever you are login, and it gives some once again you come to the website, you are predefinedly login that, right? So that your like password and all things are there in session storage. Okay, so it is very easy, and today's we are not going to cover that, but we see. Okay, so I would say that, and here we're going to see about how the DOM work. Okay, so and you have a doubt, I say that in the end of the class I'm going to give you a flow how to go next. Okay, so in that flow, this month at 25th to 30, we're going to create every day one project. Okay, so 5 days 5 project for JavaScript going to take by me. Okay, so where I going to teach how the DOMs and works, how. So we're going to see about the real world projects and where you can learn about all the extra things, like you can say the local storage, we can use it for like to do up something like that. If it is comes, we can use it. Okay, so I just going to say the flow, just bear with me and we can do that. Okay, so I just come to the concepts. Okay, so now how the process it works. So they're getting your name and getting their email and it stores something. Okay, so they are getting, how they are getting, so there is a code for something, right? So to grab an element. Okay, so this is an element, this is a HTML element, right? So I need to grab an element. How to grab that element? So you want to grab a single element, want to grab a single element. What is meant by single element? So if I want to grab this name and input tag, how can I grab that? So there is a thing called document.getElementById. So what is this? It is a method. Okay, so it is a method. How we see alert method, all those things, the same like this DOM, we have document.getElementById. So what it do? For example, I creating a variable like const x is equal to, and I just going to say document dot get element by id. Okay, so this is like something get element by id, you need to give a correct syntax and all. And if you are using like something like Visual Studio Code, you don't want to worry about the spellings and all, and it gives auto recommendations. Okay, so this is a document that get element by id, and what it's going to do means it is used to helping in grabbing an element. For example, now I want this name, right? I want this name and this input, that what is the user is going to give, that input value is what I want. Okay, so for that I want to grab this, grab this input tag. How can I grab that? So I go for my HTML, and here you can see here, where is that input is here, right? So here input tag and type of text is that, and here we give an id. So you can see a similarity, get element by id, get element by id. Okay, so why I say it only grab a single element? Why I say it's only grabbing a single element? It is very basics HTML. What is the difference between id and class? Id should be unique, it should be used only for one element. Okay, so classes, maybe we can give more classes, multiple classes, and thus classes can be in multiple elements, right? So you can multiple tag, you can use the same class name, but id should be unique, you need to use that. So how many of you know that what is the difference between id and class? So you know that id is a unique name, you should give for only one tag, and you should not repeat that, right? So how many of you know that? Just comment it out if you know that. I know that, just simply say yes, I know that this is working. So I know that how the id and class is working. Okay, okay, so I say that we're going to grab a single element, right? So we're going to grab a single element, and here you can see get element by id. So what this method is going to do, whatever the id we are going to give inside this method, whatever the id we're going to give inside this method, it's going to grab that. For example, I want to grab this input tag. How can I do that? How can I do that? The what is the id we given here, just copy this. Now copy, you can put it here like this, but you need to mention it in a double quotes. Okay, so double or single quotes, anything like this. Okay, that's it, simple. And now what I'm going to do, I just going to say console.log. Okay, I just going to say console.log. What is the variable that is stored this element? It is x, right? It is x, that's it. Okay, now I am saving this, and I just click inspect, and I go for the console, and here you can see I just comment off this, and I save this. You can see that input element is grabbed. We fetched that input element. How cool this, right? So we fetched that input elements, and now you have a doubt, right? I have a doubt, like the value I only, this method is used to get the element, right? You get the element we are targeting, right? So I need the value the person entered. For example, the person entered his name as like Hari, or the person entered the name like Sanjay, and Sanjay, like this. So how can I get that name? Because actually that is what I want. So for that you need to just use dot value. Okay, simply like this. Okay, simply like this. Now what I'm going to do, I just save this, save this, and you can see there is a shock is going to be there. Okay, explain it. You can see nothing. You can say nothing. Why it doesn't gives a nothing? Because this value, whatever the value I just going to here, I just going to give. Okay, it should be come here when the form is submitted, right? So this is what we're going to see in the upcoming. Okay, so now you just understand how to grab an element. Okay, so now we can able to know how to grab an element. You can use, if you want to grab a single element, you can use the element by id. So why it is only grabbing a single element? Because in HTML we use the id only once, not for the multiple times. And also you have another thing, another doubt. What if I use a class? Instead of id I use a class, what going to happen? How can I fetch that? What if I have an tag? I don't give any classes, I don't give any id and so on. How I can fetch that? Okay, so that is a thing called same. It is also coming under grabbing a single element. This is called, like I just going to say, const y is equal to same document dot. Why I'm saying document, I'm referring this HTML docs. Okay, so this is referring as HTML documents. Okay, so document dot, and I just say not get element by id instead of query selector. Okay, so in this query selector I just going to mention whatever you want to fetch. For example, if you want to fetch an id, what you want to mention? For fetching an id, you need to give double quotes, and for id you need to give this number sign. How you use, like for example, you need to style an id. How you use this number sign, or we can say that something like action, like that you need to use. Okay, so the same how css selectors works, the same like query selector also work. Okay, so for example, if I want to fetch the same name, here I want to fetch the email. How can I do that? I need to say that email. Because why I'm saying that email? Here you can see email is there, and it is an id. For id you need to give an ampersand sign, or sorry, not ampersand sign, it's like number sign, or you can use this #. Okay, so if I save this and I just go for my console and I just copy and I just going to paste it here, and instead of x I just give y, and I save this, and here you can see the email element is also successfully fetched. Okay, so this is how this query selector work. And what is the advantage? What is the advantage instead of using get element by id, instead of using query selector? The advantage is you can able to grab an class, you can able to grab an tag too. For example, I want to grab a tag, I want to grab h1 from the tag. So here you can see here is the document, and I need to fetch the tag that is named by h1, and I save this. Here you can see the tag. For tag we don't use nothing, right? So css selector we don't use nothing, we only use for classes we use dot, for id we uses the #. So that is the difference. So I call the h1. You can see the first h1 element in the document is rendered. Okay, so and also you can, if you want to grab a class, for example, here you can see where is the class, some classes or we have defined. Here you can see in the section container we give a class, right? So I just going to copy this, and if I want to grab a container, I just put this dot sign and whatever the name you given for this container, and you put save this, and here you can see entire section is, we fetched the entire section, right? So this is how the entire section works. Okay, so this is how the query selector works, and get element by id works. Now you have a doubt, like, so in this query selector, if I use a tag or a class, okay, so don't worry about the id, because the id is going to be only one. Okay, so it's going to fetch only one, but classes and tags we have more, right? So we use, for example, in the index itself we have h1 tag here, and we have h1 tag here. There are two h1 tags here, but simply I say h1, what this query selector do? The query selector fetch only the first h1, right? So the first tag itself. So this is what it does, because it is comes under a grabbing single element. Okay, so it is only grabbing a single element. So whatever the classes or whatever the tag it gives, so it takes the first element only, not, and it leaves rest of us. Okay, and you don't want that. You want all the h1 elements. So in this entire document you want all the h1 element, h1 tag or h1 classes and all you want to use the multiple grabbing. Okay, so how to use multiple, how to grab multiple things. Okay, so for that we have a method called query selector all. So what is mean by this? Query selector all. So by using this query selector all method, what it's going to do, you can see, test it. Instead of why, I just going to be say about is it, and I just going to be is it. Okay, so here you can see it creates a node list. It looks like an array, but it is not an array, but it creates a node list. And what it do, it returns all the h1 how many h1s are in the document. It returns in an array. Here you can see it returns in a two things, which means the document contains two h1. For example, instead of I'm leaving this and I just going to put an input, what is going to do, it's going to fetch the input tags available in our form, in our document. Here you can see there are three input elements are used. Let's go and check. And here for name we use the input, for email we use the input, and for the submit we use the input. And this input element is used to select multiple things. Okay, so select multiple tags you want to select, you can use the query selector all. And here you can see it returns a node list. So what is meant by a node list? It is looks like an array, but it is not. Okay, so and also you can use several other methods to fetch tag and fetch classes. Okay, how can I do that? Okay, so for example, if I want to fetch a tag and classes individually, how can I do that? You can use document dot get element by class name, and we have this method, and we have another method like document dot get element by tag name, get element by tag name, get element by not name, get element by tag name. So what these two methods do, so this class get element by class name, it's used to fetch all the classes in our document, and this document get element by tag name, it's used to fetch all the tags in our sessions. Okay, so in our document. Okay, so that is what it's going to do. Okay, so that is what it's do. Okay, so now you have a now you let's do only one thing. Okay, so I fetched this input, right? So it is a tag selector, right? So by using query selector, I fetched the tag selector. Okay, so now I going to use the same document.get element by id tag, and I going to view how it's going to look. Okay, so I just going to say const, and I just going to say d is equal to something like document.get element by id tag name, and here I just call for the same input. Okay, so same input is going to be there, and I just going to say console.log, and here I just going to mention the d element. Okay, and I save this, and here you can see both query selector, what it does, query selector all, what it does, it just fetch all the input tag. But here you can see the difference. The same thing is also the tag element also do, but the difference is here it is comes in a node list, but here it is comes in a HTML collection. So what is the difference between node list and a HTML collection? Okay, so node list, there is a huge drawback in HTML collection. So what is that? So we cannot, we are not able to use this HTML collection, like we are not able to use the higher order methods like for each loops and several other things. We are not able to do it in the HTML collection. Okay, so it just only outputs the element. Okay, it's just only output the element. But here when we are using the node list, here it's not only outputs the node, but also it outputs all the like what all of the text node is there, what all of the child nodes is there, everything. Okay, so there is an advantages for query selector, and there is a disadvantages when we using the HTML collections. Okay, so you have a bit confusion like what is the main difference between node list and HTML collection. Just simply now you just remember that in node list we can able to loop through the element by using some higher order loops. Okay, so but here in HTML collection we are not able to do that. Okay, so it is simple to understand, but bit more things is there to learn. Okay, so next what I going to do, I just going to explain how this thing is vary. Okay, so I think Sanjay asked me how the for each loop work. Okay, so now we are going to see that how the for each loop works. So actually I say that, so we say an array, and in that in that array it's going to run a particular function by using the for each. We're going to run a particular block of code by using the for each loop, and everything will be run there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I just going to, here you can see I just have an commented UL tag is here, so I just going to uncomment of this. Okay, okay, so now this is uncommented, and you can see that is displayed in our in my browser. Okay, so here you can see item 1, item 2, item 3, something is displayed in my like what, in my browser. Now I want to use the multiple selector, not a single selector like id or query selector. I'm going to use the multiple selector. Okay, and I'm going to show every element in the console. How can I do that? You can use the for each loop. Okay, so I'm going to use query selector all for do that, and also going to use get element by a tag name for do that. Okay, so you can able to understand how this thing works. Okay, so if I use the query selector, okay, so here we use the document.getElementById input. So instead of that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the class name. Okay, so for that I just going to put a dot here, and I just remove the input. Now I just save this. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I just go and click the inspect, and I just go for the inspect. Here you can see where the node list created. Here you can see ul.items is that, so which means nothing but this is we fetched. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to render all the items, which means all the text which has been returned in the console, which has been returned the what in the DOM, in the HTML. I'm going to render it separately. How can I do that? I can use the for each loop. So I just going to use the for each loop. I just going to say here what I'm going to say here. So I just comment off here before doing that. Okay, so now the final thing is the thing we're going to work, and I just going to say, I just going to call that array. What is the syntax of using for each loop? We need to call that array, and you need to put a dot, and here you need to give like for each, and this is something like iteration, array iteration method, and inside that either you can give a function or you can give an arrow function. Here I just going to give an arrow function. I just going to give an item. So there are three things here like value, index, and something like that. And here I just going to give an item. So what this representing? So this representing the value we going to fetch from each of the query selector. So I just going to say this is like arrow function. I think you familiar with the arrow function parameters. So this is a parameter we going to get. Okay, so this is a parameter, and I going to use the flat arrow function, and this is indicating I'm going using arrow function. And here I just going to say this is a one-line code, so I don't want to put like curly braces, return everything. I just simply run. Okay, what I want, I just want to display all the items in my console. So here I just going to show console.log item. So I just explain how it works. Okay, I just explain how it works. So here you can see I say z. Okay, what is z? So z is nothing but the node list we have. So the node list we have several things, right? So we have several things that has been listed out in the node, right? So items, right? So that has been what are the several things? Here you can see this is the ul, and all the li is has been listed inside the node list. Okay, so if I say for each item, and here you can see this is in 0th index. Okay, so this is in 0th index, this is in first index, and this is in second index. First of all, it goes there and it fetch that item number 1, and it's going to display it, and then it's go and run the same function in the second element, third element, and all. And I save this, and here you can see like I want to save this too. Okay, here you can see all the element is fetched. You can see I fetched the entire HTML, right? Here you can see every HTML. So it is a node list. We don't fetch, we are not able to get the multiple elements like this, right? So now I get the multiple element by using the multiple element selector. I fetch the entire thing. Okay, so this is work in the query selector all, but it is not work when I use the same by using the tag get element by a class name or get element by tag name. It will not work there. For example, I just show you how it not work. Okay, I just remove this, and instead of tag name, I just going to say class name. I'm going to do the same thing by using this HTML collection. Okay, so I just remove this dot, and this is the class, and I just to put here, and I just say console.log and all everything. And before this D, I just going to say D dot for each, and this is going to be a loop, and here I just going to be an item. The same thing I am returning the top, I just going to be repeated. Okay, so and I just going to give the flat arrow function. Okay, and this is going to be display the whatever the items inside it. Okay, not only item, you can give any name. Okay, so it depends upon. Okay, so let's see this will work or not, and I save this, and you get a reference, you get an error. So what is this? D dot for each is not a function. This is what I am explaining. So like this for each is like an higher order methods and all, and you if you want, this will not work in the class name, get element by class name and get element by tag name. It will not work, okay, in multiple selector, but it will work in when you use the query selector. Okay, so the simple is nothing but in node list you can use the like you can use for each and some higher order things, everything. Okay, because it is in array but not exactly array. Okay, so but here it is not in HTML collection, it will not work. Okay, so this is the difference between when you are using query selector all and when you are using get element by class name. Okay, if you want to loop through something and if you want to do some multiple process, you can go for the query selector and all. Okay, so and you have a doubt like, oh, then if I use the get element by class name, I am not able to do that. There is another way to do that, that is called a spread operator, and it is comes in ES6, and that is we going to cover it in our because I don't want to confuse you, that I was going to cover it in ES6. Okay, so the next Monday to Friday we're going to have an ES advanced concept where we're going to discuss about the ES class, and by using the spread operator we can able to do the same process. Okay, and we can fetch that. How can we do that? What is mean by spread? Spread is nothing but it is used to quick copy pasting. Okay, so all the elements here you can see it is like an array, and what it simply do mean, it just copy paste all the values in an array to another array or an object to another object. So it will do our work very simple. Okay, so I think this hope you will understand. Okay, so the next thing, what this is the simple thing, how to grab. Okay, so simply you want to remember, you just, if you want to grab some element by using an ID, you can use get element by ID. You're going to grab a single tag, and you can use a query selector all where you can use tag, class and ID, and this is also going to take a first element, who comes first, that's all it's going to be take. And query selector all is going to take all the selected elements, like all the elements in all the h1 tag, all the classes element, multiple selected, we can use the query selector all. And there is a difference between node list and class list, node list and HTML collections. And I would highly suggest to go for any free resources available and read some docs. Okay, so what is mean by what is the difference between query selector all and class HTML collections. Okay, so came to know some important hidden details. Okay, so that is how. Okay, so that is how, because we are not able to cover the entire thing. Okay, so this is not possible at all. Okay, so now this is something grabbing. Now what I going to do, I just going to change, I just going to work with some process. I going to working with this right, I going to manipulating this thing. Okay, so first what we going to do, we're going to see how to remove a function. Okay, so how to remove a tag. Okay, so how to remove an element from a document. Okay, for that you need to use the remove method. Okay, so how can we do that? So I just going to say about simply, like for example, I want to remove. So here you can see this item 1, item 2, item 3 is available, right? So this is in our document. Now what I'm going to do, I just going to remove this. I just click inspect, and you can see in the element it is listed in the UL, right? So UL in the class name of item. Okay, so now we know how to grab this, right? So how to grab this, I just going to declare a variable, let x is equal to, and I going to grab this. How can we grab this? We can grab by using we can use query selector all. Okay, so we can use query selector itself because it is only one classes. Okay, so I just say document dot get element by, or you can use class name, whatever you want. I just go for query selector. Okay, So you can have optional. Okay, so what you like, what you are familiar, you can use that. Okay, and here I just going to give, this is a class, so I put a dot and I just want to copy this. Okay, so and I just going to say items. Okay, now what I did, I copied this element. What I did, I copied this element, right? So now all the elements inside, all the elements that I am having here, everything, this UL tag is in my control. So now I can able to remove this. How can I do that? By using the remove method. For deleting some element, you can use this. So how can I do that? I simply say x dot remove, x dot remove, and I simply save it. And here you can see, I just go for the body. This is our body, this is our header, and this is our section. And in the section you cannot see the UL, and also in the browser you can see, boom, it is disappear. What happens? So if I just remove this and I save this, here you can see it is appearing. Okay, so if I use this method, what would happen? If I use it in a particular thing, what going to happen? It going to remove it from our sorry, it's going to remove it from our, like, remove it from our entire tag. So this is what happening when you are, like, if you are using Amazon and if you are clicking the delete button, when you are in user written or to cart, and if you get a delete button, I don't want this product, like you delete that, this is boom, that is disappeared. This is what we have done, and this is the function behind that. Okay, so this, we can make a simple function by using that. Or simply I can say, you are making a to-do list app, and what you did, you simply say like, today I want to watch TWD, and click it, it is saved. And after watching that, you have a delete option. You delete that, it will be disappeared. That is what I did. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that's it. Now what I going to do, I just going to change the inner HTML. So what is mean by this is like removing. Now we're going to see about how to change. So how can I change that? For example, if I click this button, I need to change this to like something like form is submitting. Okay, so now we have only submit. If I click this oh, this is pretty advanced. Okay, so we see about after seeing the little event listener. Okay, so now I say, I just going to say there are 3 things are available. You can do that. Okay, so I just comment this. So for changing the inner HTML, there are 3 things available. You can do that. I'm going to change the item 1, item 2, item 3. Whatever the text we have written inside here, I'm going to change this to like I'm going to say like TWD, and I just going to say about YouTube, and this is I going to change about like the web dev, anything. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. So there are 3 properties are there. Okay, so this is a method, and we have a properties to do that. And what all are they? Okay, I just explain, I just to do that. For example, I just say document. First we need to grab that, right? Document dot get element by, I just using query selector. Okay, so I just going to use not get element by, I just going to use the query selector. Okay, so what is that I'm going to select? I want to change the first one, right? So I want to change the first one. What I'm going to do, I just going to use the query selector. Query selector, or you can use this, you can directly select this and you can change it, or you can use the parent and you can change it. I explain both. So now I just, what I'm going to do, I just select directly. Okay, so I select directly the item, and what I'm going to do, there is a thing called dot text, there is a thing called inner HTML, and what I'm going to do, I just going to say the web dev, the web dev, the web dev, and I save this, not saving this because I want to return it in a string. Okay, okay, and I just save this. Okay, now you can see the web dev is changed. So what happened after writing this? What happened? This query selector select the element which I want to change. So which element I selected? I select the item. So what the query selector will do? The query selector select the first classes itself. So here you can see there are 3 item classes are there, but the query selector select only the first class itself. And what is this inner HTML? It is a property. What it do means, whatever the text we are returning, whatever the text, or we can use the HTML tag to display. For example, I want this to display in a bold. Okay, what I'm going to do, I just going to add an b tag. So what does this do? Normally we add a b in HTML. What it do, it gives a bold, right? So that is, it will work the HTML tag also, so we can do whatever we want. Okay, so otherwise there is another way of grabbing an element. How can we do that? For example, I can grab the parent, so this element, and I can able to grab this all li based on their indexes. First, for example, this is the parent element, and this is children 0, this is children 1, and this is children 2 according to this parent element. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, so I'm going to see how to grab an element by using different ways, and how can I do that in different multiple thing. Okay, so I just going to say right now we fetched this, right? So right now we fetched this UL. So the X is fetching this entire UL. Now I just going to say X dot first child. So what this first child, not first child, we're going to say first element child. Okay, so what this first element child is going to do, it's going to fetch the first element child. And if I add a dot text content, so what is this text content? It is same like what that inner HTML do, but there is a difference between this and that. I explained that. Okay, so here I going to say the EWD, and I save this. You can see it is changed. Okay, so next, how can we select the next tag? I'm going to say, instead of saying first element child, now I'm going to use the indexes. Okay, I say that the indexes start from 0. So I want to fetch this is 0th index and this is first index. So now what I'm going to do, you can use the children method. So what does children method do? So this is a parent. Okay, so this UL is a parent and all the threes are children. Okay, so now I fetching children 1. So what is mean by children 1? This is this element. Okay, so if I fetch children 0, this is, and if I say 0 to this element. Okay, so if I say children and this is an array, so I use the box and I just put 1. Okay, so now it is an array, and I just going to say another property that is called inner text. Okay, so text content, and we're going to have not like this inner text. Okay, so inner text, and here I just going to say YouTube, and I save this. Here you can see the YouTube has been displayed. And next thing what I'm going to do, I just going to do the same thing, but instead of this is first element child, right? So you can use the second element child too. Okay, so not second element child, you can use the last element child. There is a method called last element child, and by itself you can fetch the last element child too. You can see that this is also changing. Okay, so this is how we manipulate, and this is how we change the content. So right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to manipulate the form. Okay, so I just going to do several things because of the time convention. I just going to a little bit fast here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, if someone gives the name, someone gives the name, I want to display it in my console. How can I do that? For that you need to use the event listener. So what is an event listener? So event listener is nothing but it's wait for an event to run. For example, click is an event, submit is an event, although everything is an event. Okay, so here we have a form. Once the form is submitted, I need to fetch the name and email. How can I do that? So you can do that by using like, you can go for the forms where this is the form. Okay, so I just going to use the container. Okay, so I just going to use the container, and I just going to write for this form. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I just work on the form. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so this is a container, and actually this is a form. Okay, so we have an ID, my form. Okay, so I'm going to fetch this. Okay, so I just going to say about the text is equal to document dot get element by ID, and here what I'm going to do, I just going to fetch by using the ID. And what is the ID of the form? So the form ID is my form, right? Okay, I just going to copy this, and I just going to paste it, and now the form is fetched. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the event listener. Okay, event listener is also a method, is used to add event. Okay, so when the form is submitted, I want to do something. Okay, so now the form is fetched, and it is stored in the variable X. So I just going to say X dot, and for using event listener, you need to use the add event listener. And in this add event listener, you need to give the what is the event you are going to listen. I'm going to listen for the event. There are so much of events available like click, change, can blur, autoflex, drag, input, mouse over, mouse output, so much of thing. For now, I just going to use the click event. Okay, once the form is clicked, the entered email and the entered name and the email I want to be displayed. How can I do that? I just going to say comma, and here you can write the function. Okay, so that is a function, and inside this you can give the function what you want to write. Okay, so what all are the thing we need? We need this name and value, and we need this email and value, right? So that is what we want. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to fetch this input with the value. Okay, so how can I fetch this element? By using some concepts like how to grab, like we can say let name is equal to document dot get element by id. Here I just going to see about what is the id for that input tag. The id for that input tag is name. So I just copy this and I just going to paste it here, and you can put dot value. Okay, so the same thing you need to do it for the email. Okay, okay, so what I'm going to do, I just going to copy this, I'm going to paste it here, and I just going to show it in email, and here I just going to cover it in an email. Okay, so email.value, and all. Okay, so much of things that, and now the name is available, the email is available. So I'm going to use that name and email. How can I do that? I just going to display the name and email in my console. Okay, so console.log, and here I just going to say email. Okay, not dollar email, the email, and I just give a multiple things, and I just want the name of the person. Okay, so name of the person. Okay, and I just save this, and if I give something like this, and I just press enter, and I just click inspect, go for console, just wait for a minute. And before we doing that, we have several things to do. So it shows that the empty tag is there, and before what I want to do, I want to add an event listener for this. So how can I add this? I just going to give this is something like event. Okay, I want to prevent default. Okay, something I don't want this. Okay, just to say like and here you can see before we clicking. Okay, so this is submitting form. Okay, so whatever the thing we are entering here, it is displaying here. Okay, so I just want to write for the button, not for the form. Okay, I just write it for that, and here I just going to say twd@gmail.com. Okay, so at gmail.com, like this. I hope the time. Okay, okay, so whatever the thing we are writing here, it will be displayed. So but I want to write it for the button, not for the form. So what I can do, I can able to fetch this. Okay, so what is the type is button, class is btn, right? So I just going to fetch this by using class name. Okay, so here I remove the form dot paste it here. Okay, so here I just save this x.event listener. Using this class name, there are so much of things here, and here we need to mention which one. I just going to say it is the first one, so I just going to say 0. Cannot read the property of undefined. Okay, what's happened? Okay, document.getElementById. Minute. By the selector. Okay, so I submit this, and here I just going to say hurry, and here I just going to say twd@gmail.com is there, and here you can see the name is displaying, like the email is displayed and our name is displayed. Okay, so this is how we are using, and there are so much of things available and so much of topic which is not I covered is that, like we can able to work on here. For example, if you are left the name, okay, so I just like if someone entered an empty name, okay, so if they are not entered like this, they are submitting the form, without writing the email and submit. If they submit means you get a notification, like please enter the valid email address and password. All those things you can able to do by DOM. And also you can right now I just add it in a console, right? So I now add it in a console, but you can able to add it in your browser itself too. Okay, so that is also possible, you can do that. Okay, so I just do one thing, I just given this thing. Okay, I just copy this and just paste it here, and I just copy this and I just paste it here. Okay, I just give a demo because I think I covered, I can able to cover a lot today, but the time's up. I don't want, because I'm not able to handle that so much of things. So that's what happened. Okay, so if I save this, okay, if I give, and instead of YouTube I just can able to give name. Okay, so I just remove this, okay, so I just going to give like something like this, and I just press here. You can see whatever the name I entered here, it is displayed here. Okay, so this is how it manipulation happens. And also there are several other things is there, how to add attribute, how to change your style, and there are so many properties is there, so many dump operations is there, and this is just like a kickstart. Okay, so I'm also left to so much of the topic because I'm not able to cover it within a hour. Okay, so that is what happened today. Sorry for that inconvenience. And I asked our founder, and I tried to cover the same DOM topics, brief DOM topics by upcoming upcoming 5 days too. Okay, so this is actually like JavaScript work. So this is how we manipulate the JavaScript. And now I just this is more than enough for me because I want to cover a lot, but there is only 3 minutes is left. Okay, so that is why I'm not able to do that. Okay, so I just give the form for you. Just a minute. Attendance form I just give. Just give a minute. Yeah, I think this is posted our attendance form. Okay, so I just give. Okay, so I just given kickstart for the DOM manipulation and all. So this is how JavaScript works in our web. Okay, so we can able to manipulate something, and we can able to change something, and we can able to work on that. Okay, so this is what JavaScript DOM to. Okay, so now I just say the flow, and if you have any doubts you can ask. And now I just say the flow. What is mean by flow? What you can do next? So the next is you can go with, like, for example, the next I can say you can come for tomorrow's 12 hours boot camp, where you can learn about the JS a little bit what you have learned today itself, and you get a refresh there. And after that, in Monday we're going to have the advanced topic. Okay, so I try to cover async JavaScript ES6 classes, and some classes and prototypes, and some object concept, and also some other things a little bit faster in upcoming section. Okay, so I just want response from you whether this kind of teaching is okay, this kind of speed is okay, or you want to improve the speed. Okay, so if I just improve the speed of teaching, whether you can able to understand, or this is okay for you. Okay, so this is a kind reply. I think I expect some replies from the students. Okay, so this, whether this flow is okay, or you need to, I just increase my speed, whether it's okay for you, you can able to understand that. Okay, so I just want it's okay for you, just give a comment in the live section. Okay, it's fine, bro. Okay, so I try to increase my speed, and I just cover some lot topics. Okay, so in the upcoming 5 days. Okay, so after completing the boot camp, just come for the another 5 days of advanced JavaScript concept, and that's going to, yes, you are going in a correct flow. Okay, thank you, Kishore. Thank you, Kishore Kumar. Thank you so much. Okay, so I cover the advanced concept and all, and after complete that, okay, so and after completing that advanced concept, 25th to 30, okay, so 25th to 30, 5 days, we're going to have each day, we're going to see one project, where this is also something like a little bit form validation, where we plan today, but I'm not able to cover all those things like if I use some conditional statement, if some empty is there and I just want to give notification and all. Okay, so for time convenience I'm not able to do that. Okay, so I definitely do it once. Okay, so the flow is nothing but, so today you have some knowledge. Okay, so for the 5 days you have some knowledge in JavaScript. Come for the next boot camp and get the certification for the 1 day boot camp, and also come for the advanced and mastery JavaScript, where you get to know about the world of JS. Okay, so you get to know, and after completing that 5 days, give a week break. Okay, so you go and search several materials, or I say that some people are connect with me and asked for some website, all those things. I shared the TWD web, the webdev.tech blog site. There is a huge thing, there is a huge blog, a huge documentation is available. Okay, you can use that. Okay, so the after give a 1 week break, and after at the end of the month 25 to 30, you have 5 days one on project. Okay, so each day we're going to cover one on JS project, only focusing on JavaScript. Okay, so that's going to be an amazing, and you can get to know about how JS works real world, all those things. Okay, so after at the end of the month you can able to do projects in JavaScript. Okay, and then you can able to learn React and so on if you come for the next week. Okay, React and so on, because the important concept for React and all those things we can going to do that. Okay, so and if you are like our way of teachings, and if you want this free resources really helpful for you, I highly suggest to please give a like and subscribe. And I see the channel is growing so well. Okay, so yesterday we are in 4.05, now we are in 4.9 something, and I think we reached 4.1k subscribers, like that. And I hope you do that. Okay, so if it is really worth, do that. Okay, so and if you have any doubts, connect us within LinkedIn. We will help you there. Okay, so and also there are free resources we are going to post, and free live classes is going to be there, and React JS 5 days classes is going to be there. There are so much of upcoming is there, and we're going to add the way of teaching. We're going to do some differences there. I'm going to use some screenpad and all. I'm going to teach you about all the core concept in JavaScript. Okay, and this would be helpful. Okay, so I think this is enough for kickstart. Okay, so I will cover the remaining section in the upcoming live classes, where we're going to have in the next week. Okay, if you have any doubts you can ask me. Okay, I wait for 2 more seconds, and you can after that we can wind up the live classes. Okay, so I think Star will wind up the live classes. Just wait for 1 more section, and I want to see whether all of you filled your form, attendance form, because this is the last day of attendance. You're going to get the form, like we're going to get all the, please share. See, attendance form is already shared. Sanjay, attendance form is already shared. Just look, just scroll some chat, you can get it. Okay, so I think Sanjay, whether you get, okay, so are you getting your attendance form, guys? Okay, if you any doubts you can ask me, please again. Okay, so just give a minute. Okay, so I just, okay, so this is, try to copy this URL and paste it, because it's not comes in a link form, right? It is not coming in link form where what I have post. Is there anyone is in live? You can able to, if you have any the live attendance form link, please you can also share that. It is not coming in link. Just copy the whole thing. Oops, it's not coming like that. Sanjay, did you get, please share attendance form? Okay, I think you are not getting this. Okay, wait a minute. I just put, yeah, the form is shared. Okay, check it out. Okay, I think I'm not the host to share the form like that, so that is why it's not showing. Okay, so I think the form is shared. Okay, if you have any doubt, or if you have any doubt regarding this topic, you can ask me, or otherwise if you have any other doubts, you can ask me personally. In our TWD team, we have a great connection there. You can able to connect in LinkedIn and you can ask that. Okay, so that's all for today. I think everything will fill. Sanjay, is that you have filled your attendance form? Sanjay sir, hope Sanjay will be there. Okay. Okay, so I think everything will be done. Okay, so let's we wind up the live session and we see you in the tomorrow's boot camps. And I welcome, I want to see all the peoples who present here. I want all the peoples to be come tomorrow to have a great boot camp. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Bye.